Howdy gang, and welcome to another video. Today, we discuss an interesting theory about Pokemon ZA or 2, and how they could connect to the evil team in the game itself. Let's get into it, but before we do, be sure to subscribe, because it really helps me out. And let's get into this. Alright gang, so, first things first. This one from Light just has an emoji here. Now, time to get a little bit scientific. Quasars are a subclass of active galactic nuclei. Extremely luminous galactic cores where gas and dust falling into supermassive black holes emit electromagnetic radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. And they should look like this, which is relevant because of this. Now, it does kind of look like two things merging together. Now, what am I thinking? Simple. Hoopa. Now, what does this have to do with Hoopa? Simple. If we scroll down here, we should see this from Bennu Writer over on Twitter that says, black holes. Sounds like the kind of holes that Hoopa can make with multi-dimensional wormholes. Maybe this is how we will time travel in PLZA. Now, let me say this, I don't think we're going to actually time travel. Because looking at this quasar thing, I'm beginning to think that we might actually have more of an interdimensional travel kind of thing going. Now, we have traveled to other dimensions in Pokemon before, in a sense, in the form of the Distortion World. Yes, I just made a Pokemon Platinum reference. I'm old, okay? I just aged myself. Now, why am I mentioning the Distortion World? Simple. It's essentially another world, which is what this could very well be. As it says here, Hoopa's multi-dimensional wormholes, which means they go from one dimension to another. Now, if this is accurate and we do have to deal with some Hoopa shenanigans, that would be interesting. But I'm not entirely sure what to think, because would they actually put Hoopa in PLZA, when to my knowledge, Hoopa had nothing to do with Kalos to begin with? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Let's turn to terrestrial stuff for a moment. Do you think that it is possible terrestrial Pokemon could come back in some form in PLZA? Now, I know what you're thinking. Pacer, that doesn't make any sense because, of course, you're dealing with Paldea when you're talking about terrestrial Pokemon. That sounds ridiculous, and I agree. It is a little ridiculous, but do you think something similar could happen in PLZA? I mean, we are dealing with Kalos here, and it is a neighboring region, seemingly, to Paldea. And if that's the case, is it possible that terrestrial phenomenon could have been witnessed in some form by the neighboring Kalosians? I have no idea. But would they have mentioned it in some form in PLZA? Even if we never see the terrestrial phenomenon itself in PLZA? I have no idea. It's an interesting food for thought, though. Let me know your opinions. Alright, gang. So, let me say something. The evil team in X and Y was Team Flare. Now, let me say this. Solar flares are obviously a spatial phenomenon. They happen in space. Now, so are quasars. Now, hear me out, hear me out. This would be Team Flare over here on the left, and then this could be the symbol for the evil team in PLZA over here on the right. Team Flare could be a sort of successor to whatever team is over here. Now, we could be dealing with Team Quasar because of the quasar up here above that, and Team Flare because of the solar flare. Now, it is possible, but I have no idea what to think. I mean, do you think they'd do that? Put Team Quasar as the evil team over here, Team Flare over here for X and Y. You remember them. But would they do something space related again in Kalos? I mean, it would be interesting, but I have no idea how that would actually fit into the story. I mean, think about it. I have no idea. I mean, it would be interesting to see them do another space related evil team, but two space related evil teams in the same region, is that necessary? I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. But looking at this for a second, 1 million people have said it already, but just to join in, the symbol we see in the PLZA trailer is almost definitely representing a quasar. It is probably the symbol of the team or group that is in charge of Lumisa's redevelopment, and they probably enlist us to help. Interesting theory. This, of course, connects back to the outer space themes of X and Y that we just mentioned, and megas, which I'll go into more detail on in another post. Not going to worry about checking that. What's interesting concerning Team Flare is that both quasars and solar flares are very bright. I'm not sure which is brighter, but if quasars are, this does give some points to this being set in the future, since Team Quasar would be brighter than Team Flare. In other words, the next level evolution of Team Flare. Interesting. So, what if, this sounds crazy, but what if we're dealing with Lysander again? I don't know. This sounds crazy, but what if we're dealing with Lysander or somebody connected to it? I don't know, this sounds insane because you would think Lysander was defeated at the end of X and Y. Pacer, that makes no sense. Why would they bring the same leader back for a second round? I don't know. I mean, it is theoretically possible they could bring him back in some form, be it like a descendant or maybe some form of ancestor, and you have to deal with his ancestor or something. Not necessarily Lysander himself, but it would be interesting to see someone connected to Lysander lead a team that would be the predecessor of Lysander's team themselves, or the successor to Lysander's team themselves. It would be very interesting to see how that would play out. Would they be similar to Lysander in any way or not? I have no idea. Let me know your opinions on that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. But personally, I'm not sure what to think. I mean, this whole connecting them to Lysander idea is cool, but I'm not entirely sure they'd do that. I mean, think about it. Why would they bring back the same guy for two different go-arounds? It's not even X2 and Y2. It's just Pokemon Legends ZA. It's a whole different game. So it's likely to be a whole different evil team with a whole different leader. It's not likely to have any connection to Team Flare or Lysander at all, but this would be interesting. I gotta admit. Let me know your opinions on this down in the comments below. Alright, gang, let me ask you this. What do you think the evil team will be like in PLZA? Because I have no idea personally, and I don't think we will until they give us some information on the subject. So it's fun to theorize and all, but that's all these are. Theories. We don't know for sure what the evil team's going to be like. But I must admit, it is fun to guess. You know? to theorize and see how close you get to the actual evil team. Because it is interesting to think about, because you have no idea what you're facing until you actually are told by Game Freak, hey, this is your enemy, right? This is who you're facing. So it's an interesting idea. Start guessing who you're going to face and, what they're going to be like and what the team name's going to be. We have no idea, but let me know what you think the team's going to be like down in the comments below. And let me know whether you think terrestrial phenomenon will come back in any way in PLZA down in the comments below. Because I'm curious whether you think terrestrial phenomenon will come back in PLZA in any form. Because I have no idea, and personally, since this is Kalos we're dealing with, I don't think so. Since this is Kalos, I think that if they came and used terrestrial in some way, then it would probably be just a mention of it. Like a passing comment about it. Maybe someone who had been to Paldea or something and seen the terrestrial phenomenon. I don't think they'd show it. But that's just me. Let me know your opinions down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on all this down in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe because it really helps me out. And I will see you in the next one.